why does the world need another musician? At the end of the day, it's like the world doesn't need good musicians, it needs good people. If you are really good to people, like you'll get something in return, right? Like maybe not now, maybe like not immediately, but in some way, like the universe is giving you signs like, hey, you're doing great.
Welcome back to another episode of the Kurative podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Sutarji, and my guest today is a musician, mix engineer, music director, and a longtime friend of mine, Angelo Macaraeg. Angelo plays bass for two bands, Ruby Ibarra's The Balikbayans and Ian Santillano's The Housewarmers. He musically directed The Balikbayans for Ruby's Circa 91 album, as well as mix engineered Ian Santillano's 1856 album. In this episode, we talk about surrounding ourselves with good teammates, working together with the same collective vision, and how we shouldn't let the lack of equipment be the reason we don't create. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone. Before we get to the episode, I just wanted to say thank you for everyone who is watching the podcast on YouTube and listening to the episodes on all the podcast apps. There are many other ways to support the podcast. A few are to rate and write a review on iTunes. If you got value from the episode, you can share it with a friend, and you can email me at hello@kevinsutarji.com and tell me your story about which episode resonated with you. Also, when I announce my guest for the episode on Instagram and ask for questions, you can DM me your question for my guest. Lastly, you can subscribe and be part of the notification squad by opting in on getting notified on YouTube or any podcast app whenever a new episode is released. Thank you and enjoy the show. We made a video with Ruby, right? That one time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay.
Gotcha. Yeah, it was, we made that video like a year ago because that was, no, it wasn't Pisahan, it was Undiscovered. When she performed.
That's when
there.
you interviewed her, right?
Yeah. That was for the local show.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
so that was super fun, and that was my first time meeting Ruby, and that was the last time I saw you.
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, I appreciate you coming, man. I feel like we haven't really caught up in a long time, and I've seen you doing a ton of things, and and I'm really excited to see that you're working with like Ruby, with Ian, and help making their albums and stuff like that.
Yeah. Just helping out with their music goals, man. That's what it is.
Yeah, and for the audience that don't know, like, feel free to talk about what you've been doing lately, and what what got you to where you are now.
So, I'm Lassi. My friends and family know me as Angelo, and I'm a musician. Do a number of things, play a number of instruments. I'm also a mix engineer, and I mainly play bass. I'm a bass player for Ruby and Ian, as part of both of their bands, and that's what I've been up to. Mainly music. Music is life. Music has always been life. Life is music. Just enjoying it, man. To be honest, yeah. And now I'm here catching up with high school bandmate right here.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, first time I met you was my sophomore year. You were a freshman, and we did band together, concert band, right?
Yeah.
Oh man, those were the days.
Crazy, man.
That was like,
who would have thought I'd be like talking to you,
right?
for a podcast, and like you'd be talking about music and stuff. Like after college, yeah, that's crazy.
That was 15 years ago. Holy shit!
Holy shit! Yeah,
I'm so crazy,
old, man.
We're both old.
Yeah, that's crazy. 15 years ago.
Yeah. But I feel like we've
2008 was when you graduated.
Yeah. And I feel like we've been like catching up, like keeping in touch once in a while. And I remember like even when we both graduated, there was a band concert that Ashley was performing at. Yeah. And we both
ran into each other.
At Burrow. That was cool. Yeah. I always watch what you're doing and like see what kind of shows you're doing. You're doing PCN, you're playing for bands.
Oh, PCN, man, that was life back then.
Yeah, how was that? Because I hear it's really stressful.
It honestly, okay, so I mean, every Filipino knows about PCN, especially if you went to college. I mean, PCN was a big thing. You have friendship games, you have PCN. My life was all about PCN.
For the non-Filipinos that don't know what it is.
Filipino Cultural Night.
Yeah,
Filipino Cultural Night, it's a rite of passage for a lot of Phil-Ams and Filipinos who attend college, and it's a big production, usually in the spring, and you invite your friends and family, and usually it involves lots of music and acting and you know,
dance,
some dramatic scenes of, you know, like Lola's dying.
Is that one of the stories that you had?
Dude, every PCN has a Lola that passes away, man. We would, me and my friends would play this game of like, you know, like you have like a checklist of things that show up in PCN. So
yeah,
you have like the prodigal son, and you have the closeted daughter or something like that, and then there's always some intense fight scene that's going on, and then some, I don't know, and then there's gonna be some modern dance. Like we would just troll, man. It's like, I mean, PCN, that's what PCN was.
It's all fun.
It's all fun, yeah. But man, seriously, in college, that was my life, straight up. I mean, I joke that I got my degree at Cal for PCN. I mean, it sounds weird, but I did spend a lot of my time really just doing PCN, and academics for me was just for me to like survive.
Yeah.
You know, like just to stay afloat. That degree means just staying afloat, and then PCN though, that's what grounded me, like doing music. That's where it all started. That's where I, like, all the musicians that I know today, it all kind of started from there.
Would you say that, like, when you did PCN, were you always struggling with work, or not work, I mean school and PCN all the time?
No, honestly, I mean, it got tough, but I made a lot of sacrifices, like sleep. I mean, I remember there was a time where I couldn't sleep past 3. Like wow. I just had to be awake, and I kind of organized my schedule so I'd have class hella late in the day.
Okay.
But man, like me and my friends, we would be, first of all, I'd be arranging music late at night, and then that's when I first started like my my first business, if you will. I started like Frontman Productions, and then so I'd bring in all my musician friends to come through, and then we would record, man. I mean, I had mics like this, and I just had my MacBook, and we would record just out of my apartment, and like we would just record like covers and stuff like that. That's when I first really got into mixing. Like I bought Logic and started getting very hands-on with like music. That's what I did, like all the time, man. And academics was, again, it was I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of on the periphery, you know, like it was just here. Yeah, I got class, all right, cool, whatever. But what really drove me was the music and doing music and creating and making music with people, honestly.
For PCN, did you work on it like starting in winter or even earlier than that? Like what? Because like obviously PCN is a huge production for the people that don't know. Like there's acting, there's music, there's dance, whatever. So like how long did you take to really start planning it?
So it depends on what year you're talking about.
Okay.
So my freshman year, that was my first exposure to PCN, and that's when I first joined. I joined the PCN band. So Berkeley was lucky enough to have a live band. And I think that's what really drew me to PCN. I was like, yo, they got a live band. Like,
yeah, that's sick.
I'm a hop on, and I want to sign up for that. And so I was the keyboard player, played piano, and that was really my first year. And then I knew that year, I was like, yo, I really want to lead this in the future. And so usually, like, the folks back then, we called them like PCN band heads, like the folks who were like leading the other subgroups. So you had modern, you had acting, you had choir. They would have trouble finding people to like replace them because either they got burnt out, or like I don't know, some drama happened, or like they graduated. I remember my freshman year before PCN, before the show, I had went up to the band head at the time, and I was like, yo, like, how can I do this next year? And I'm hella down to lead it. And so
were they looking at you like, you're fucking crazy? Like, are you sure about that?
No, they're like, oh no, dude, like of course they were like, yeah, totally,
just help us out.
Help us out, man. Like,
get me out of this.
Yeah, no, dude, like keyboard player, yeah, like if you're down, like hell yeah, I'll definitely, you know, we'll look into it. And it depends on who the directors are, like the next year.
Right.
There was like an application, but what I've noticed about people is like, if you kind of already put it out there in the universe and say, look, I want to do something, like people kind of see that already. And so like, it's almost you're paving your destiny in a way.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
I mean, they can tell if you're really interested.
Yeah, no, I mean like you know me, like I'm super passionate about music. So they knew. They're like, yo, Angelo, he's gonna lead the band. You know, a lot of the seniors like he's gonna lead the band. So yeah, in 2011, I was the band head at the time, and that's honestly I was starting to arrange music probably right around December. I mean, sometimes there would be events like in the fall that we'd have to like perform at. But that was my first time that I became like a band director, you know. Like I learned a lot from band in high school.
Yeah.
and I kind of took what I learned from that and then transferred it over to college. And we're just a ragtag group of musicians, and this was like my first exposure to really like leading the band. I arranged charts for the band, and I don't know, I was just fueled on passion, man. And then my last year, so I was band director sophomore year and junior year. My senior year, I actually directed the show. I co-directed the show.
Oh, that's cool. That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah, and we were planning that, I'd say like legit, I think we were planning that 3 years back. So actually in 2011, we were already planning for 2013.
So you're talking about like what? Like
because what happened was the big thing in my mind was I was like, yo, it would be sick if PCN was like a musical. And it's nothing new, but I'm like, when's the last time Cal did a musical? And it was like 2008 or something. Okay. So it was like 5 years ago. But I wanted to do it in a different way, not just because back then they just did it for like one skit. I wanted this whole production to be like a musical, and I kind of like would spread this idea and talk to people about it. And luckily, the people that I shared that idea with ended up being part of the team in 2013, my senior year, when we directed it. And that was for sure like my favorite PCN. It was PCN renewal. Like whoever's from Cal watching this, like they know PCN renewal. It was an amazing year. Everything fell together. We really changed up the game with that show. And you know, like nowadays, I'm not gonna lie, I'm like over PCN because
it's been a few years.
It's been a while. And you know, but I wear PCN and like, especially my senior year, I wear that with like a badge of honor, man. Like that was a huge accomplishment. Like that feeling, having the being around the right people, having the right team, like that was my foundation to everything that I built up. And I had learned what it meant to be on like a good team through PCN. Like I learned so many lessons through PCN. It sounds so cheesy, but I really did. And I felt like I milked that experience because I really was ambitious about it. So, yeah.
Would you say that you learned a lot of aspects of leadership when you were doing PCN because you had to coordinate with a bunch of people, with maybe committees, like, you know, the modern, the choir and all that?
Yeah, honestly, that's where I learned it. Yeah. And that's why I think that was really my major, because I learned a lot of life lessons that aren't specifically taught in school, you know. Like I was an econ major. Like they don't teach you how to budget. They don't teach you how to write a letter to Zellerbach Hall about like why they should fund your show or like why your show's relevant. And
what is that?
Zellerbach is where we performed. And it's a world renowned stage. It's Cal's main like concert hall, pretty much.
Okay, cool.
Performance hall. And we're lucky enough to use that space. I mean, it costs hella money. Yeah. But I learned a lot through doing PCN. And I what I noticed from a lot of like musicians and artists, like the logistical side is it's kind of lacking sometimes. Like, you know, trying to organize things, trying to schedule things. Yeah. Not all of us have that skill, and it's not immediately taught to us. But through PCN, I just learned it through osmosis. Like, yeah, I'm like, all right, if this needs to happen, then these things need to happen. I need to schedule this, and we need to have a meeting for this. And luckily, I had a very strong co-director who was also logistically strong. And so when you're surrounded by really good people who know their shit, like it already makes you like forced to know your shit. And if anything, that just observing how like my team would work and the people that I worked with, it was an amazing learning experience. And I'm telling you, I point to that a lot. Like people ask me, oh, like, where did you learn how to like public speak and stuff, or like speak in front of a crowd? I'm like, dude, PCN. Yeah. You know, like when we're in a huddle right before the show, and you know, I'm one of the co-producers or co-directors, and I got to give a speech. Yeah. Like that's practice right there. You know, that's where I learned it, man.
Yeah, I feel like learning on the job sometimes is like the best way to learn. Yeah. Like you're just thrown into the fire, especially doing something that you actually enjoy. Right. So like, you know, doing PCN in your case, you really want to do it. Maybe you didn't have all the leadership skills. Yeah. But then you're still like not afraid to just do it and learn on the job.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I think it was really just the ambition. I'm like, I think, and it wasn't just my dream as well. Like we all had this collective. I think that's why my senior year PCN renewal was such a success, because we all shared this collective vision. And when you have a team that's passionate about a certain goal or a certain you know, a certain deliverable, they make it happen. They find ways to make it happen. And you know, whatever skills that you need to learn, you end up learning. Yeah. You know, I mean, I didn't know how to speak in front of people, but I learned it through there. I mean, you could even argue like I wasn't a music major, so it's not like I'm pretty sure the charts that I was printing out were like there are hella mistakes, and you know, a classical pianist would probably look at it like, dude, this street music sucks, like garbage. But like I didn't care.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like, I mean. Fuck it, man.
Like, you're doing what you love. What you love.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, I just did it, and everybody else kind of followed suit. It was such an amazing experience. I look back on it. It's crazy. I'm thinking, I haven't thought about PCN in a while, but I'm like, man, I have so many like fond memories of that.
Yeah, I feel like in college sometimes those are the times to grow. And like when I was in college, as I told you, I did dance. Like I actually coordinated dance when I was a second year, and like doing that was something that I'd never thought I would do. But the president of the Chinese club, he asked me like, oh, hey, you know, we're trying to start a dance team. Like, can you help coordinate? And I was like, what the fuck? Me? Like I don't
got kind of voluntold, huh?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I guess. Right. And then I learned on the job, but then like I started to like it, but then obviously it just was a lot of work.
It is.
And so so like finding great co-founders or like partners, and like in your case you had a whole team. Yeah. Like that's the best thing to have, especially if you mesh well together. And I had like, you know, great choreographers, like shout outs to Greg, Joyce, Ryan, like you know, I had people that were did guest choreography, right? And like they really helped me shaped what we started, and then like now it's like big in Cal Poly. Like and I'm not taking credit all by myself. Like that credit goes to everybody that helped me out. And like you said, like a good team will really make like your company or your like your show like very successful.
It makes a difference. And I think the thing about experiences like PCN or experiences where you have a good team is that you carry that feeling with you wherever you go. Like whenever you're in a new space, you try to strive for that feeling. You know, like in PCN, there were moments where I wouldn't even have to think about what my co was doing or what like our acting director was gonna do. Like we were so all on the same page that I didn't have to like, you know how when you work with somebody and they're not kind of on top of their shit, and you're like, oh man, I gotta
check up on them.
I gotta check up on them, and I gotta follow up, right? Yeah. I have to follow up much with people on the team because everybody was on their own grind and everybody knew what they were doing. And then so when you move to a team that's new or like in a new environment, you kind of like search for that again. And then when you do find those elements of like camaraderie, of harmony, just working together, cooperation, everybody having that give and take, you're like, oh, like I'm in something good, you know? For sure. And I'm lucky that I have people in my life who like today, you know, who have that, who are easy to work with. Like, of course there's creative differences, but those are healthy. But the drama that we wanted to avoid was like, can we put our egos aside and really just focus on the product, which is either PCN or like this single, or like this album, this EP, whatever. Like, and I think that's really what rooted me in like being able to find the right people to work with.
Having like a team all for the same goal, for the same vision, and like being able to trust them without checking up on them all the time. Like, that's amazing. For sure. And I feel like this is probably, I mean, like you said, that you strive for that everywhere you go. Like, I'm sure you have that feeling with the Balikbayans, with Housewarmers.
I mean, like I said, I'm lucky to be a part of these spaces, and I do think it's the universe kind of giving back to what you are sending, like the vibes that you're sending out, right? Like, obviously if you're kind of closed off, or like you don't want to like meet people, or or I don't know, like I'll take an extreme, like if you're really cynical, right, then it's difficult to attract that energy of finding someone who's positive, someone who's easy to work with, someone who is willing to bend backwards for you because they know that there's trust involved, right? Like, I feel like because I learned through PCN, and actually even in high school, dude, like with Coach Wilder and cross country, like he ran that team it was a positive environment. Like, I think when you carry that energy with you, you just naturally attract that energy. It's I went to a Victor Wooten camp. Victor Wooten is one of like my idols as a bass player, amazing bass player. He's like changed the game. He's crazy. Look him up. A lot of musicians know about him, but I went to his camp in Nashville, and so I was out there for like a week. And one of the lessons that he taught, it wasn't just about bass, but it's about life. And he's like, if you're good to life, like life's gonna be good to you. Like, I really believe that. It sounds cheesy as fuck, but like at the end of the day, like if you are really good to people, like you'll get something in return, right? Like if you give, and then you'll receive that back in some shape or form. Maybe not now, maybe like not immediately, but in some way, like the universe is giving you signs like, hey, like you're doing great, right? Like, it's kind of reassurance.
Yeah. And would you say that it's easy to detect whether someone doesn't have that kind of vibe, or have that kind of like selflessness and all of that? I
mean, I wouldn't say like it's easy to detect, but you can feel it, and you could observe it in a group dynamic when you see patterns. When you work in teams, and you work in enough teams, that's why working in teams is so important, right? Like, you start to pick up on those patterns, and then you start to notice kind of people's working styles. Like the Ruby's totally different from Ian. Ian is totally different from Ruby. And like, me leading PCN, I was totally different from the people who had led PCN before.
Right.
We're all different people, right? But then there's still like a common thread that we can all work off of in a team that can help us work together to reach that goal, or achieve success. So, I mean, I think me being analytical and me being super observant, like I do. Again, I wouldn't say it's easy, but you can see it when you pay attention to it, for sure. There's signs. There's always signs.
Yeah. I think this will go into like Balikbayans and Housewarmers, but like, having different teams and different essentially leaders, it creates a different dynamic, but I'm sure there's at least a sense of similarity in terms of like how people work, the values that people have, treat people with respect, follow up on your promises, all of that. And so, like, even though people are different, there's those core values that really will keep a team working well.
I like that. Core values for sure.
I mean, that's what tech companies really try to follow. It's like these core values. So no matter like what we're building, these core values will help us succeed. So, we can shift gears, we can do this, do that, but if we, treat each other with respect and all of that, it's really gonna make us succeed.
Yeah.
So.
And I mean, it's we talk about it so, it's so, respect each other and get along, like
right.
these are themes that have like they've told us since we were kids, but the older you get, the more and more you realize how hard it is to actually get that. It does take work. It's a relationship, like being in a band is a relationship.
For sure.
Like, in the Balikbayans, I'm in a relationship with like 8 people, and it's crazy. But you try to strive for it, and if you have that honest and genuine strive for it, you learn something. It doesn't always work out. I know bands where things didn't go well, right? And those are learning experiences. But if the best is when you have a group of people who understand what those core values are. Like obviously in a company, it's written on their mission statement. You can go on their website, go to Apple, go to Google, look them up, and then they'll have their mission statement, their core values, why they do their business and how they do their business. What's their business culture, right?
Yeah.
But in a band, like you might just get thrown in and be like, hey, can you play keys or can you play bass?
Right.
And then immediately you have to understand, all right, what's the common thread amongst everybody here? Is there even a common thread, or are we just kind of all floating, or are we just like hired guns that are kind of just like, he's over here, he's in this part of life, and
but there's no investment, like
you can see that. But being in the Balikbayans and Ian's group, the Housewarmers, we have a common thread. It's not explicitly stated all the time, but when you're in there, like, I'm here for a reason. And everybody, we don't have to explicitly say it, but everybody understands it.
And even for the companies that do have their core values out there, like even though you have your core values set on stone, it doesn't mean that everyone's following it. So if people need to follow those core values and lead by example, right, especially from top, right? And so I follow this podcast, Cat and Cloud. They're a coffee shop, and they have a great podcast, and they talk about like how they bring their core values from the top management down to their employees, and doing that will help them like mesh well together. And like if they keep those core values, everyone will be happy. So not just like the executives, but the managers, but the baristas will be happy. Right. So you have to lead by example with the core values, or else it's just going to be like writing on the wall. So. Yeah, it really is. And you have to live by them for sure. And you have to believe in it. And you have to trust each other that you will live these values, and that, you're down. And ultimately it's so funny because there's a lot of musicians out there right now, trying to find a gig, trying to be successful. You just go on Instagram and there's so many raw musicians, right? Like and a lot of these musicians, like they want to be in a band, right? But that's the thing, is like, what makes someone get into a band and successfully like stay in that band, right? I mean, obviously you can be in a band for you got hired for that gig or whatnot, or you're a sub, right? You have to fill in, but like, what attracts, like, I'll take Anderson Paak and the Free Nationals, like what attracts them to be together, right? Like what were the energies that formed them? And to me, I think it's, from what I observed, I mean, people might have other opinions, but from my experience, it's really you as a person than it is your music. Because honestly, through your music, that you're already conveying who you are, right? Like when you are, when you're someone who's reliable, when you're someone who can pick up who can read the signs in the room, quickly, executes, is professional, can deliver what the band leader wants, or the MD or the producer wants before they even like say anything. Like, dude, they're gonna want you around. And it's not so much like, oh, it's because you know your scales, or your shit, or like your changes.
at the end of the day, like it really comes down to kind of the person that you are.
Yeah,
And
all soft skills, the character
the
that
soft
person
skills,
is.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like that's crucial. It's we I see a lot of musicians on Instagram that shed like crazy, and that's cool. Like, don't get me wrong, that's sick, and they're hella raw. But how do you interact with people?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, music is about people.
Yeah.
It's about sharing your story to people. It's an oral tradition.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
for sure.
like music wasn't meant to be kept in a bedroom. Like, it's meant to bring people together, to share in a struggle, you know, like the blues came out of struggle, right? Singing together, singing in unison.
Yeah.
And that's those same themes are still applicable to today in like 2019. Like, obviously it's faster with Instagram and being able to like hit people up, right? Like posting your video, it's automatically on there. I don't even have to like YouTube's are even a thing of the past, right? Like you could just do a story or go live, right?
Super
and
easy.
then people can see your shit. But what makes you different from the other musician?
Yeah.
You know, like if you want to get hired, like what makes you different? And how do you distinguish yourself when he's raw as fuck too?
Yeah.
You know, and what it comes down to is really the person that you are, and the person that, and the energy that you give off of. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm going to segue a little bit to Ruby and Ian. Why don't you talk about one of them first, and just talk about like their dynamic and what's going on with the band? Yeah.
Okay. So I play bass, and I'm also one of the musical directors for Ruby Ibarra. Ruby Ibarra is, if you haven't checked out her shit,
dude,
you gotta go check out her shit.
She's fucking talented,
fucking raw, and she's doing it big for the Filipino community.
Shout out to Ruby.
Yeah, shout out to Ruby, even though she makes fun of me all the time. But anyway, she's from the Bay, and she dropped this album in 2017 called Circa 91. I remember like listening to that album in 2017. I was like, yo, this has to be probably like my favorite album of the year.
Yeah.
And this is before I even knew Ruby. Out of everybody in the band, the Balikbayans, which is the band that we're all a part of, her live band, if you will, I'm the one who has known her for the least amount of time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I actually, this gig fell in my lap. So she dropped Circa 91. The reception was huge.
Yeah.
She dropped it on Beat Rock, and it was an amazing album that they released, and the pill amps from everywhere like really resonated with this album, and she performed it live with just, you know, mainly like her and a DJ. Mm-hmm. But last year in 2018, the current keyboard player Mons, he's a good friend and fellow musician. He was talking to Ruby and was like, hey, like you should have a live band, and Ruby had already been thinking about it because Ruby being Ruby, she's crazy ambitious. She's crazy. The bar that she's trying to reach is like very top, you know. She's trying to make the Grammys, and she's really putting it out there in the universe that she's trying to make it big.
She's shooting for the clouds.
Yeah, for sure, man. And so she knew that she wanted to have a live band. Yeah. She's also very analytical. Like she's studied like Kendrick and J. Cole and all these big names. What do they all have? Like they have a live band. Yeah. It's not just them and the DJ. It's a full-on production. I mean, look at Anderson .Paak.
Oh, yeah.
Free at Nationals. Holy shit, they're crazy.
You went to his concert recently, right?
That was hands down probably one of the best concerts I've seen.
Oh, shit.
I mean, I don't say that lightly because I see a lot of live shows, but that one was, sorry, I'm kind of going off a tangent, but that one's crazy. Like the whole production, the music, the arrangements, the stage, the light, everything. It was like a perfect show, honestly. Like that showcased who he is and what's his music about. But anyways, like he has a live band. The Free National is just kind of the equivalent to like the Balikbayans. So she needed a bass player.
That's cool.
And I just happen to play an instrument that a lot of people don't really play.
Yeah, you've been playing bass for how long now? Or
I picked it up in 2014, so for 5 years. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't a bass player originally, as you know. I'm mainly a keyboard player, piano player.
Yeah,
and then picked up guitar. You know, like I had that band in high school.
Yeah,
yeah. Played guitar and sang and stuff, but I learned the bass 2014.
Oh, that was college. My bad, right? Oh no, after post college.
Post college. I picked up the bass.
That's super recent then.
Yeah. So they needed a bass player, and I'm like, whoa, like being able to play with Ruby, like,
yeah,
hell yeah, I'm down. And it's not because I wanna like slap bass or anything like that. It's like, yo, I get to back somebody in our community who is shooting for the stars.
Yeah.
And she's getting places.
Yeah.
And anything that I can do to help her, like, please, like, I'll help you out, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's how it started. We had like our first band meeting at Jollibee in like August.
Jollibee.
Yeah. Jollibee right there in Union City. We met as a band, and we had like our first rehearsal, and this was the main goal for that was to rehearse and have a live show for her anniversary of Circa 91.
And when was that?
It was, I think, to the day at like end of October, I believe. Actually, it might be in the beginning. It's in October.
Okay.
We didn't exactly hit right on the mark, but we performed the whole album live November 30th at Brick and Mortar, a sold out show.
Okay.
And that was what we were aiming for. So Mons and I, we converted all these tracks that she had on her album and translated them into a live arrangement.
Oh, that's so sick.
So
like the album that you really enjoyed, that you like said, you know, this is like a game-changing album, and then you're composing music for it.
Yeah, it's
for
crazy.
A band.
It was crazy. And
that's so cool.
What it all comes together because like what I talked to you about, right? Like PCN, that's where I learned it. That's where I learned how to arrange music. That's where I learned how to lead a band.
Yeah.
And so here was this kind of like ragtag group of musicians again. Like half of us are from the Peninsula, half of us are from the East Bay and South Bay. And we had to work together to make Ruby's vision come to life on stage, and it was crazy. It was a lot of hard work, man. It's a lot of arranging, a lot of ideas being thrown, and obviously like working with Ruby, she's really down to earth. I mean, I've never worked with somebody who was so kind and who works at your level. You know, she doesn't put herself on a pedestal.
That's really good. Yeah.
She's all about her music and the art and her message, if anything. And she's somebody who is an amazing leader who will help you, who knows how to help you like bring your vision to life, right? Mm-hmm. Like she pushes and she has such a high bar.
Yeah.
So we really had to meet that. We're like, all right, dude, this is Ruby a bar. Like we got to make the show fire, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how we started. And then since then we toured the Philippines. That was crazy. That was in so March.
Cool. This past March.
That was this past March.
Okay.
2019. We toured the Philippines. And I hadn't been back to the Philippines for like 16 years pretty much. I mean, like it's crazy. I've never been with that many people for sure. Traveling. For sure. And this was, I'm not gonna lie, like we're a newly formed band, and here we are traveling the Philippines.
Yeah.
for the first time. That was well worth it. That was an amazing trip.
So going to the Philippines or even just touring in the California, area. Yeah. Like, how was that? How was being with this band of how many people in the band?
So it's me, Mons, Chirito, Chen. Shout out to all these people, by the way. Nico, Ray, Rocky, and then Ruby.
Yeah, so
that's 8 of us.
Eight of you guys, like,
Yeah.
you know, traveling with all these people, like, how was it just being with them all the time and like working with them and performing?
It's a learning experience because again, we're like a newly formed team.
Yeah.
And we're a newly formed band. It was a lot of it's really, it's just natural growing pains, you know, like trying to adapt to people's working styles. We all have such very strong personalities, and on top of this, like, all of us are kind of our own artists.
Yeah,
That got formed together because, you know, Ray, he's like a producer, right? We have Chan and Chirito, they're Astrologic, like they're their own band.
I've heard their music.
Rocky G, he's his own artist. Miko, he plays in a number of bands, and then Mons as well, he gigs for a ton of bands. So you put us 8 into like one band, and it gets interesting. But no, it's all good vibes. Like, I think we talked about core values. I think one of the biggest core values is pushing Ruby's music to the wider audience, and really treating the music with respect, and really delivering that message as well as we can, because we're all honestly, like, even though we're part of the band, like, and we're around Ruby a lot, all of us are just so damn inspired by her.
Yeah.
Whenever she spits, whenever she takes the stage, it's like, dude, man, like, you're doing something different. Like, you kind of have like this out of body experience. You're like, yo, I'm here, but I'm also like an audience member witnessing this, but I'm like on her side.
Yeah, you're on the stage with her.
And I also like arranged like some of the music.
Yeah, and I watched her live at Undiscovered last year.
That
Holy
was crazy.
shit, that was crazy.
The all Pinay lineup.
Yeah,
that shit was crazy.
She has that presence. Like, I don't know, like this, like when she raps, when you guys are playing with her, like that was amazing. And obviously, I had my camera and I was filming, but while I was filming, I was just watching. I was like, holy shit. This is a legit show.
Yeah, like, and that's what we wanted, man. Like, we wanted people to listen to her, because nowadays, right, like an album a year old, like it's old. Yeah, right. Like, people consume music like that.
Yeah, and new music comes out every time. New music
comes out every day. Dropped another album, dropped another single, right? But I think adding the live band element to Ruby's music just gave it a whole new life, you know?
Yeah.
And when we performed it, man, like that night at Undiscovered, that was like seeing the whole parking lot like full. And what was amazing about that show too is it wasn't there was no age restriction.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
A lot of her fans are like the youth, and a lot of the kids love Ruby, and Ruby loves the kids, and they were all like front row. Yeah, singing like every lyric and screaming out, like, you know, nothing on us, hey, you know, like they were
that was so
they
cool.
were hella vibing with the music, and wow, like that was a crazy experience. But to answer your question in a short way, it's a blast being with the band. Like, it really has. Obviously, there's, again, growing pains.
Yeah.
We have our creative differences, and we have to like sort through certain things. Logistics is always tough.
Of course.
Like, managing
with eight
people's schedules is tough. You know, like we got to set up a doodle, and then like we have doodle, man. We use that in college. When are we gonna have our general meeting? All right, fill it out. You know, like, we're gonna schedule our retreat. You know, like, we still use that. Yeah. We had, like, for instance, we originally had our band thread on Instagram.
Oh,
so
wow.
Like, all our communication,
all the chat
Instagram.
there. Damn.
And then we moved to Messenger. And then somebody brought up, like, yo, there's Slack.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Slack, right?
I'm glad you use Slack.
Yeah.
You use Slack at
and then
work.
So now we've upped our game, and we're on Slack. You know,
that's good.
We have all these channels for like audio recordings, gigs, social media.
There you go.
And Ian started a similar thing for the Housewarmers too. But yeah. I mean, it's been a fun ride for sure, dude. Like, I love it. I love being part of the Balikbayans. It gets super stressful at times, like, especially when it comes around like the tour that we had in the Philippines. That was stressful, because like we were buying flights like last minute, and we also had to fundraise, and it's like getting a hold of people is like pretty tough sometimes. But at the end of the day, man, like, it was an amazing experience for sure.
Yeah. I think a lot of performers would kill for that kind of experience, you know, like going back to their homeland and like, or their parents' homeland, performing
Dude,
with an artist that you look up to so much, you know.
That was I'm telling you, that was crazy because it's one thing to perform here in front of a lot of pill ams, but it was a whole different vibe performing Ruby's music in front of Filipinos, natives,
yeah,
from the homeland. Like it had and being in the homeland, there's a different energy, you know, like just the heat, you know, the land, the ocean, the sun, like all these, it's different. And I remember we performed at we mainly went there for this festival called Malasimbo Festival.
Okay.
And it's mainly actually a lot of foreign acts performed there, and so we headlined both nights.
Oh,
and
sick.
So when I remember, I think it was the second night, we performed her song. It was either 7,000 Miles or I think it was Welcome. I look at our guitar player Chen, and she's in tears. And like I got emotional.
Yeah,
because,
I'm getting goosebumps right now.
Yeah, no, because it's like, you know, the chorus is like, welcome to the place called home.
Yeah.
You know, like we're here, like we're literally here in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And we're conveying our message through music to our people, you know. That was wild. Like I can't describe that feeling like in words, but it was goosebumps for sure. And like, I mean, I felt super emotional during that moment. Like it was crazy.
Yeah. That's really cool. I would love to go back to my parents' homeland, which is Indonesia. Yeah. And like do something for them, you know? Like that would
you
be
guys
a dream.
got like the Java Jazz Fest or something like that. That's
really?
That's crazy. Yeah.
I don't know about this.
That's a dope festival,
It's big?
dude. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the person that's doing that right now is Rich Brian from
88 Rising.
Dude.
Yeah, dude, I love that label, like Nikki.
Yeah, Nikki's bomb. Joji.
Bomb. Yeah, dude.
Higher Brothers, August.
Their production is like they're raw, dude. Like those are great musicians. They're like most of them are they all Indonesian?
No,
like,
I think just Nikki and Brian, but there's like the Higher Brothers are from China, like
they have someone from Manila there, right? I think I forgot his name. It's like he's a DJ, Manila Rising, I think, or something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
But
they have a ton
like
of people.
There's playing that, performing in the Philippines, crazy, dude.
Yeah, that's cool. Transitioning to Ian, like what made you think that you could do another band? Like you said, you know, you guys were busy, you had to figure out schedules. Like how did you know that you could handle doing Ian's band, and like how did that happen?
The way it goes back to actually PCN.
Okay,
I'll start there.
That's the root of everything.
Yeah, our PCN band, we ended up performing at Santa Clara's PCN because we had a live band, and Ashley, my fiance, she was part of SU Barcata at the time.
Okay.
And actually she directed PCN her senior year as well. So we performed at that band, and Ian happened to be there because his brother was in the cast.
Ian was just watching.
Yeah.
Okay. As an audience, that's so cool.
As an audience member. During intermission, he decides to sit in. Like he sat in on guitar, and then we're like, oh, this guy's like raw. And then like he was like, I think he like tweeted something about like the house band's like, yo, the house band's like playing some good music right now. So it started there, and then I realized like, yo, he goes to Moreau.
What? He went to Moreau?
He went to Moreau.
You
didn't know that?
Is he your
no,
age, my age?
Honestly, I don't know what year he is.
Dude.
He's we're too old, man.
Okay.
I don't know. He's like class of, I don't know, 2013. I don't know. I could be on 20.
Okay,
no, I probably 2015. I have no idea. Anyway, he went to Moreau.
That's so cool.
And my sister was also going to Moreau at the time, and then so, I had gone to like a homecoming game, and he had just graduated from Moreau. And I saw him, and I was like, yo, like, trying to jam sometime, you know? And this was back, I think, in 2014, 2015. So me, Ian, and homie Gordon, who was part of PCN band, he went to Cal as well.
Okay.
We just started jamming in his garage, you know, like I was just on drums and he was on guitar. We were like playing like John Mayer and like some just random music.
Yeah.
You know, because at the time, like Ian was obsessed with John Mayer. You know, I mean, we have a saying that he's a filthy version of John Mayer on the guitar.
Okay.
We also call him Brown Mayer. But anyway, Brown Mayer. It started there, and then so he joined. Okay, so the band in PCN evolved after college into what is called Sold Out Underground. Sold Out Underground is like basically we played a lot of weddings, private events, you know, birthdays. It was all cover music. And so Ian actually joined Sold Out. And that's what, like, he started playing a lot of music that he wasn't, you know, he didn't know at the time. You know, like we were playing a lot of old school shit, like a lot of like 70s music. And then so he played with us, and at the time, the drummer at the time, he left. And so Ian actually recruited Pablo, who's our drummer in the Housewarmers now. Okay. Because he went to SCU. Because Ian ended up going to Santa Clara. And then, so after Sold Out, me, Ian, and Pablo like broke off and did our own thing because we wanted to just like fucks with original music.
Sure.
And then so we were just jamming at like Pablo's church, like at my house. And then we started a band called IPA. So this is like the full history.
Yeah. No,
this is what's going to be on Wikipedia.
Yeah, there you go. I'm writing it right now.
Yeah. So IPA started, and it was just that stands for Ian, Pablo, Angelo.
Okay.
And so we would just do a mix of covers, and then like Ian had some songs that he like messed around with. And then we performed around San Jose like as IPA, so we're kind of known as IPA. It was just us three, and then eventually like we decided, you know, we would expand the band to another homie, Terry. Like he came through, who we met through like a house party. That was the house party at me, Gordon, Ashley, and Kane's house, because we moved to a house in San Leandro, and we threw a huge house party.
Nice. Because
it was a new house, aka it was a housewarming party. That's where we so Housewarmers. There you go.
Shit, there you go.
Yeah,
that's where it is. That's where the name came from.
There it is. There's the Housewarmers. And then yeah, and then Ian's girlfriend Jenny, she plays keys, amazing artist. She joined on keys, and then you have the Housewarmers.
That's so cool.
But with a different vision, a different mission from what IPA was. IPA was really just like us just jamming and like having fun and just like playing for fun. And that's where it all starts. But with the Housewarmers, it was really dedicated to support Ian and his music in the same way that Balikbayans are helping out Ruby. And so you ask, like, how did you even join another band?
Yeah.
Right? Well, that's the thing is me and Ian have been homies since like 2015. And we've just been playing together since then. Just as friends, you know, like we're a family. And that's one thing that I always instilled in like our Sold Out band is like everybody here is family. Everybody here is part of the musical family. Like I mentioned, I'm super blessed to be around so many amazing musicians, and that I get to work with so many musicians.
Yeah.
And so Housewarmers didn't start out because, you know, like me and Ian were like, we should form a band. It was more so just like, it's just a natural progression of these other bands that we were a part of that kind of grew into this.
Yeah.
And it's a project that for me, I carved out time for because it's original music. And I really believe in Ian.
Yeah.
Ian is an amazing artist. He's an amazing guitar player, amazing singer, talented producer. And I want to support that in the same way that I believe in Ruby's mission and her music and her goals. How can I help Ian succeed.
Yeah.
And so I told him, I'm like, hey, if, like, you got these original songs, you should make an EP.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
come out with an EP. You got a live band, like, you could come out with the EP and then perform live. On top of that, like, I can mix your songs.
Yeah, that's so.
And he's
yeah.
like, hey, like, I'm
That's the
down,
next
dude.
step.
I'm down, bro. And then so like we'd meet up and like we came out with the track list. He like showed me some songs. He sent me songs. He's like, hey, what do you think about this song in this order? And then 1856, that set of 6 songs, that's what it came down to from his pool of songs.
Yeah.
And yeah, every day after work, me and Ian would hit the studio at my place. Nothing fancy, not a big studio in LA or like here in the Bay, like
Home studio.
Yeah, a home studio that I put up back in like 2012. And it was just me and him in the studio, and him sending me the tracks and then me mixing them and just going back and forth.
Yeah.
And that's that, man. Like,
yeah.
And us performing that music live. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that you guys had like a good relationship before you started creating the album. Like, what is the process of making an album? Like, what did you guys have to do besides just, Ian giving you tracks, you saying like, oh, how is this and all of that?
Right.
Like, what do you guys have to do to really collaborate together?
It always starts with the vision first. Like, our vision was, he had all these songs that he'd written, and it was like, let's just put it out there. It wasn't like, yo, like, let's get 10,000 hits on like this song, or like, let's make this album a hit. It was the opposite. It was like, let's just put this out, dude. Yeah. Like, I told him, like, you have hella good shit. Like, your songs are dope. Like, let's work on it and let's make it happen. So yeah, he had done a lot of the groundwork already because he's a producer, and he produced the music up to a point, and then he handed it off to me to mix and balance. Yeah. And it wasn't perfect for every song where, like, he sent it to me and that was that. He actually, because we evolve, and he's a producer, he evolves. Once we got to the mixing stage, he listened to it and was like, we should add some stuff. Right. So it was kind of like reiterating. So we like added some new layers, I like, for his song Would I, like, if you heard the demo, it was very different from what it turned into. Like, it was kind of like bare bones at the time, because he's just writing songs. He's not like perfecting them to be on an album. He's just coming out with stuff. Yeah. But once he sent it to me for mixing, he's like, no, like, I want to add more. And I was like, yeah, like, we could totally like do more here. And we had enough time. So we had this deadline of like coming out with the EP around like June, July. And then, so we worked towards that. And at the time, we're like, all right, the 2 singles are going to be Love and Do You. And so I worked on Love first, and that's like, he calls it a classic. That's his classic song. Okay. We worked mixing on that first. I actually was traveling in the Philippines at the time, and I was doing a lot of mixing on like my headphones there.
during break or something?
No, this wasn't the Philippines with Ruby. So this is what's crazy. I went to the Philippines with Ruby. Yeah. For a week, and then I had already had a family trip planned later that same month in March. To go to the Philippines. So I went to the Philippines twice in a month.
I remember that. I asked Ashley, like, oh, didn't Angelo just come back from Philippines? Like, let's hang out. She's like, oh yeah, he went back already. I was like, what the fuck? You went twice in like, a short span of time,
man. Like, so and it was funny. Like, it was like the same flight, same exact everything.
It's like deja vu.
It was like deja vu. I was like, dude, I was just here performing, and now I'm like hanging out with my family. It was like cool. Anyway, I had my laptop. I had just had headphones, and I was doing a lot of mixing. And even though like Ian knew it was like vacation time with my family, he was like bothering me, and like we were bothering each other, sending each other, going back and forth like through messengers, just like, hey, like tweak this a little bit, like, oh, I want that kick to be like to hit harder, like, right, yeah, just a lot of like creative communications happening in the Philippines. And then when I came back, then like we really got down and dirty with the mix, and then we dropped the track, and the reception was crazy, dude. Like we we were talking about it. We're like, yo, we were not expecting this.
Yeah.
Because people were like hella reposting love. On top of that, Spotify added it on a playlist, on a curated playlist.
Oh, sick.
You know, I don't know if that's algorithm driven. I don't think it is.
No, I know Spotify has a few people that like actually curate playlists.
Yeah, and so it was the Ready for the Day playlist, and it got a shit ton of hits on that.
That's so sick.
And it was crazy. Like there was somebody from like Boston, I think, who like tagged Ian, and like she was like dancing to Love, and you're like, whoa, dude, like was this? And that's, I think that's the freedom in approaching a project with like, let's just do it. Let's just do it for the fun, for fun and for the fuck of it. Yeah. And let's just see what happens. And then so like the reception was just like, this is all like bonus, if anything. Yeah. Because we were gonna release it anyway, whether people listen to it or not, but. I think it has like over 150K like streams now. Like, damn, it's crazy.
Congratulations on that. Yeah, that's like, so cool.
I'm super thankful to Ian for like trusting me with that project. Yeah. And you know, just like I think 2 weeks ago, you know, we performed it live.
Right. In
San Jose, and it was a sold out show. I was like, damn, dude, like I got to perform with Ruby and sold out her Circa 91 anniversary show out. And then now I get to perform with Ian, and we sold out the 1856 release show in San Jose at our boutique out. Like, yeah, dude, like I'm a lucky guy, honestly. And it was lucky to be a part of these projects and really have people allow me to have my creative space within their own project. Yeah. And make it like our own collective, like, product. You know, and own creative vision and making that happen. So
yeah, I noticed that like whenever you're talking about all the things that are happening, the great things, you're not really talking about yourself all the time. You're always giving shout outs and like you know, you're saying great things about the people that you're working with. So you know, I really see that you value teamwork and you value the partners that you're working with.
Honestly, dude, like I wouldn't be able to do it alone, really. Like, and I think I go back to like what I see on Instagram. Like I see a lot of musicians just kind of like trying to do it on their own. If that's your hustle, that's cool, right? Yeah. But I'm telling you, it's so much easier when you work in a team. Yeah. It's so much easier when you have somebody to help you out with those aspects, you know, like, you know, with Ian, like he would have had to really search for another like mix engineer, you know? Mm-hmm. But like me and him were close. Like I can call him up right now. He'll pick up, and like, you know, we're hella tight, and we're really like, he's one of my closest friends. And the fact that he trusts me to work on his project like that, it's a win-win, because I get to work on an amazing project, and I get to you know, carry through my passion for music and mixing. I love mixing. I love being in the studio. Yeah. And then he gets to work with a mix engineer who he knows versus someone who's like on Instagram, you know, like someone that you hit up in the DMs and it's like, yo, can you mix my project? Like, I'll pay you, you know, like someone you don't know
if you're going to click with them.
And again, at the end of the day, it comes down to like the type of person you are. Right. And so, on Instagram, sometimes it's a risk, because you don't know this person, like they might ghost on you. Yeah, or like, for sure. What if halfway through your project, like they just sort of like, hey, like I can't commit to this project anymore. You're like, there's so many.
Or they steal your shit, maybe.
Oh yeah. Like that happened. I think that happened with Ian. Like it was like he sent a beat to somebody or something like that, and he kind of like took it. You know, like see, there's shit like that happens, right? Like so, it's not about me, man. It's about the music. It's about creating with the right people. And it's, again, music is about working with people. I mean, obviously we all have to do our own woodshedding by ourselves. That's done privately, you know, like working on your craft. And a lot of the things that you don't project onto Instagram, kind of, you know, you're behind the scenes that doesn't always get projected. But at the end of the day, it's to share with people. Like I mean, I learned this in the Victor Wooten camp too. It's like, what does the world need with another musician?
Yeah. There's so many already.
There's so many musicians. Like,
yeah.
why does the world need another musician? And if you think about that for a second, it's like, why does the world need another musician? And at the end of the day, it's like, the world doesn't need another musician. The world doesn't need good musicians. It needs good people, right? Like, it needs people like Ruby, who are fighting to make her message heard, because we are a people that is marginalized in social media and in the mainstream. Our stories aren't told, right? And then with Ian, like he's local, he's hella local, right? Like,
and he spreads a certain message, right? Love.
His message is different. It's about that. It's all about that, man. And that's what draws me to these people. And so that's why I don't even think about it as like, like I have to balance these two. Like, I don't come in to these bands saying like, oh, like in my head I have to like block this out for Ruby, I have blocked this out for Ian. Like, logistically I do, but like my foundation is always with the music. It's like, how can I help this project move along in the best of my ability? So
that's really cool. I'm glad that it's working out with you, because you're obviously doing so many things that, and then like, you're still enjoying yourself, and you're not overwhelmed, or maybe you slightly are. I don't know.
Mean, it gets overwhelming. Trust me, I work full time too, so it's like, it's balancing everything. It's tough. It's a struggle, and especially when you have the phone. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there are times where you just feel like you're on call. It's like, this person needs something, you need to send this, and that's all the behind the scenes stuff that's not music, but it's still music. It's still related to music. It's still part of performing, because like, you need to send that tech writer to the sound guy, or else you're not going to have sound at your show. You are going to have to hit up the event or the promoter, because you need to make sure that you got your shit secured. You have to communicate to the other band that they bring their backline, because you're not going to have your bass amp there, or no, shit like that. Like, it's all important. The logistics is almost as important as the music. But at the end of the day, music is about having fun. It's about love for what you do, and it's about life. Like, you can't write music without living life. Like, that's what fuels you. At the end of the day, you're just synthesizing your life and your experiences into a 3, 4 minute, 5 minute song for people to experience, and I'm a lucky person, because I get to partake in the creation of that, and I get to support some really dope and amazing artists who are on the come up to make that a reality. So it's not about me, man. It's about the music for sure. Like,
I think that probably goes into how you works with Ian for the album. So like, you were saying that when you were in the Philippines, he's asking you like, oh, can you make this, change the drums or change this, change that, like, obviously you were making something, and then Ian's kind of critiquing it, like,
of course.
How do you make sure that you guys are not taking it personally during feedback time?
I think it's trust, and it's being explicit in the communication, and we've had that. Like, he's said it to me, and I've said it to him. I've said like, yo, I'm not trying to like shit on you or like be hard to work with, but it's like, this is what I'm trying to really say. And like, I want this project to be as successful as you are. And like, he's the same way. And he's someone who's just so passionate about music. I'm like, it's crazy how passionate that guy is about music. He lives, eats, breathes music. And at the end of the day, when you put that like pettiness aside, it's not even pettiness. It's just creative differences, or like, are checking your ego at the door.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you make room for the music. Because if we had put our egos first, this project wouldn't have come out. I guarantee you. And it doesn't just apply to 1856. And think of all the projects out there that weren't created because people were beefing, because people weren't aligned, and checking their egos at the door, right? Like, Can you imagine that? I'm pretty sure there's a shit ton of creative projects out there in the ether that just haven't like landed because of broken relationships or broken friendships or bitterness and obviously life happens and that's all a part of life. But again, I'm lucky to work with someone who I can be upfront with. And like there were times where I told Ian, I was like, hey, like let me know what you really want, because I think this is me and his first time working together on this type of level. So we had to learn that. And he's like, there were times where he didn't want to be fully explicit because like, I don't know, whatever reason, like you don't want to hurt my feelings, or like he didn't want to come off as a douchebag or like an asshole or whatever. Yeah. Whatever reason it is. But I told him, I was like, yo, like be a straight shooter with me. Let me know like what you want, because this is your project. You're the client. I'm the mix engineer. I have to deliver what you want. Even if in my back of my mind, I might have a creative critique, or I think it could be different. It's his project. And I learned a lot from that. One of the biggest lessons actually that I learned from working with Ian is like imperfection is a good thing. I feel like being on social media and seeing people posting stuff and posting their art, you're like, dude, like when I post something, I have to make sure it's perfect or it's as good, right? Or else like people are gonna laugh at me, or I just suck compared to other people, right?
There's this imaginary bar.
Yeah, like
you think that you have to meet.
It's like this mental bar that you have because you're like, oh, dude, like he's getting hella followers on Instagram, or like, he's hella posting stuff and his stuff's hella good. Like my shit is trash compared to that. Yeah. But like working with Ian, he's not like that. He's all about like again, this wasn't recorded in a big studio with treated walls. He produced and recorded 1856 in his room. Yeah. I mixed it in my makeshift home studio in Union City. Right. So it's, we have to kind of calibrate our expectations. It's not like we're going to drop like a top 40 sounding song that's going to be on the radio, but we're going to make it the best that we can from what we have. Yeah. And we're going to work with everything that we have and use it to the best of our ability and really do our best to make sure that it's the best thing that we can output from the inputs that we have, you know? And so, I think with us being honest like that, it's just like, like, dude, I'm down. Like, I'll let you know. And he'll let me know. He's like, no, like, I want this kick to really come through. It's like, all right, then we'll work on that. You know? And then, and it's just really just coming from a place of honesty like that. And I think when you have somebody you can work with on that level where you don't feel like you're walking on eggshells, and you could really just focus on the art, man, it's a huge relief. Like it's like a huge obstacle that you don't have to worry about anymore. Yeah. And like, for instance, working with Ruby, she's like that. Like she's very approachable. She's very warm with her energy. Like, if she says something, like she'll say it, and it's not personal. It's like, that this is because it's to serve the music. And when everybody understands that, then we're all good.
Yeah, dude. That's so cool. Yeah. So I want to talk about I wanted to mention that you guys you're creating the album inside your home studio in Ian's room, right? Yeah. I really connect with that because obviously this place is like my living room. Right. And I feel like it's you. It adds character. When you look back, you'll be actually really proud of what you've made. Oh, and totally. That sense of perfection that you think everyone has, like everyone's like their own critic, right? So you'll never think that yours is as perfect as other people's. Yeah. But we kind of have to be honest with ourselves, like you were saying, and whatever we have at our disposal, like we're gonna make the best out of it.
Make use of it.
Exactly. And that's exactly what you said. I'm just repeating. And that really vibes with me because obviously I don't have like the best studio, even this living room is not soundproof. This
Right.
table,
Right.
has a little echo, whatever. And like, I'm trying to do the best that I can. And like, finding people to work with that are willing to do that is basically a blessing that
It's
I wish I
crucial,
can have.
man.
Yeah.
Like, it's crucial to success to have people who work on the same wavelength and have the same mindset.
Yeah.
It's tough when you feel like you're hauling ass because your creative differences,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it this way: like when you have an album, like think of someone big, right? Like they have multiple producers working on their album because like each person has something to deliver that's different from another producer.
Right. Different characters, different vibes.
Yeah, and like I said, like you can't just do it by yourself. Even if it seems that way,
Yeah.
you need people to help you out, and it's important that you build a community. Like we have this phrase in Tagalog called like bayanihan, right? Like bayanihan is about community. Literally bayanihan is when they're the village would actually lift someone's house and move the house.
Wow.
They would physically like get the house on their shoulders and move it for whatever reason.
Right.
That's this idea of bayanihan, right? Like that's important, dude. It's important to have that in your life. I think, in order to be successful.
Yeah.
And again, like I said, it's not all it's not all like success immediately, but there are people out there like who is down to work with you and who's down to like help you out. You just have to kind of align correctly with yourself and your art and what you project and give off to the universe, right? Because somebody will know, somebody will notice, and somebody will want to be a part of that, so
Yeah, I think going back to like social media, everyone has this post or the product that they come out with. It looks perfect. It looks like maybe it's kind of maybe they worked on it and it didn't look like they put too much effort on it.
Yeah.
But behind the scenes, there's a lot of things going on.
There's a lot that you don't know.
Yeah. There's so many iterations. Like I feel like people need to be more honest about that because a lot of people can get discouraged about making what they want to make.
Right.
And they see like, oh, this person is so successful. And, you don't see like all of the trials and tribulations that they're having. So, something like this podcast is like to talk about like all of the journeys that
uncover
people
that
have.
a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the journey is the most important part. Mm-hmm. And like when people hear those kind of journeys, they can hopefully relate to it. Right.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I mean, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, I mean, someone could look at 1856 and or Circa 91 and be like, yo, like, dude, that was or they could catch one of our live shows and be like, dude, that was an amazing live show. And like,
yeah,
man, like, how did you guys, it's hard work.
Yeah.
it's sacrificing and making it happen and working with the right people to make it happen in all these areas. I mean, for me, it's music. That's my main arena, but it applies everywhere. It applies.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with
anybody who's an artist. We're all artists, man. Like we're all expressing ourselves. Really, that's at the end of the day. We're all artists, and it even though for me, like I manipulate strings on a piece of wood, and
that makes beautiful sounds.
It makes beautiful sounds, apparently.
Yeah.
For you, it might be something different in a different form, but like, I don't know. Like, honestly, it's also a blessing that we have technology because you can see what's possible.
Yeah.
And you can connect immediately with people. And I think that's a good thing, and look at you, like you have like 2 really good studio mics, right? You have like a MacBook Pro, you got like this, like you have all this gear, right?
Yeah.
The gear is accessible as well.
Yeah.
Right. Or you could borrow it from somebody. And I think like with all these home studios coming out or being constructed and everybody releasing music through their home studio, if anything, it like levels the playing field more.
Oh, for sure.
Because
for sure.
now you have access to the same things.
Yeah.
Right. Like maybe you don't own a mic, but you know a guy who owns like SM7B.
Yeah.
Right. Like you can't make this excuse of like, oh, it's gear.
Mm-hmm.
It's never that.
Well, even if you can't get the best gear, like you might as well start, right?
Yeah.
Like just like a home studio, because
Right.
a home studio is not the commercial studio,
Right.
right? So
Right.
you shouldn't use gear as an excuse ever
Yeah.
to start what you want to start.
Right.
In my opinion.
And that was the beauty of working with Ian and doing 1856 is like, we don't give a fuck about like trying to book like a big studio. I mean, that would be dope.
Yeah.
But that wasn't like, oh, we need to do that in order to make this album. We're like, no. We're going to make this album.
Yeah.
With what we have.
Yeah. No matter what.
Yeah.
No one's going to stop us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
for sure. The fact that people are doing what they can with whatever they have is like the best thing that they can start with. And speaking of gear, if you ever want to start a podcast and you need to rent gear, hit me up.
Kevin got you.
I got pretty good
Hit
gear.
up this guy.
Thank you.
Yeah, there you go. There's your own plug on your own
that was
podcast.
my plug.
There you
That's what I wanted to say. I blinked out, but I was like, I wanted to do this plug real quick
for myself.
Because you were saying it.
Yeah.
So I think this is just a great segue to go with IG questions.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, you got some questions?
I got some questions.
What? What is this?
So these are people I asked people on Instagram, like, oh, I'm interviewing this person.
Yeah.
So if you have a question that Angelo wants to answer, ask me a question. So the first one is from Marvin Mack. Marvin.
Ah,
Shout
who's
out.
that guy? Congratulations, Marvin. I heard you just got married.
Yeah. Congrats. So for the audience that don't know, Angelo played in a band with Marvin. Marvin was a drummer. And so he wanted
school.
Yeah, in high school. This was a long time ago. And so he wanted to know, did the rock band and concert band in high school help influence you to want to do bands in the future?
100%. 100%, dude. Like, man, if I didn't do band in high school, if I wasn't, it was that band that we had in high school, Justine, that was what, like, I first got my first audio interface when we recorded for that band.
Okay.
I had no idea what I was doing. I think I had like some free version of Cubase, and then I had this Lexicon Alpha like audio interface, and then started recording, and then that was MySpace back then, and we posted it on MySpace. You know,
that's how old. That's how old we are.
Those are my humble beginnings for being an engineer. And notice that like that didn't come out of like a conscious decision where I was like, I'm going to be an engineer for this band.
Yeah.
Because I want to record our music. It was more like, I need to record our music so people can listen to it.
Yeah.
And I want to capture this original song that we came up with, and I wanted to sound good.
Yeah.
So I need to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's like the cart and the horse, like what comes first. And I feel like a lot of time, a lot of times we kind of put the cart before the horse, and we're saying like, oh, I need to do this before I can do that. It's like, no. You can do it, because what do you need? You need to get your song out. And so whatever you need to do, you'll get it done. Not the other way around. Like, you need to like buy this gear first.
Right.
And get your setup first, and then you can be creative. You can be creative anytime.
Yeah.
You're an artist anytime, any day, any second of the week.
Yeah.
I
like that.
But I started definitely out of that band, and like playing guitar, singing. I mean, I look at videos of that. I'm like, dude, this is where it almost started. And I remember like we performed at your graduation party.
I was gonna say that.
Yep, like
in my backyard.
In your backyard in Hayward. Like,
holy
that's
shit.
where it started. And then the way Mr. Newton led the band in MCHS, like, how can I say that didn't influence me?
Dude, Mr. Newton was a great band teacher.
Yeah, shout out Mr. Newton and Moreau Catholic. It was an amazing experience, like being a part of a band and really knowing firsthand how that all works and knowing your place, especially being percussion, you're in the back.
Yeah.
Like you get to see everybody. Like, yeah, you're definitely not reading. You're on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if we mentioned at the beginning, but we did percussion together, and
Yeah, we did mention that.
Okay,
that's where we started. That's how I know you.
It was so fun. Like
3, 2, 1.
Yeah, 3, 2, 1.
Yep.
If you know, you know.
And I can't believe the timpani player is now my fiance, which is kind of crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Or yeah.
Well, not Marvin, but
not Marvin. Whoops.
The timpani player after Marvin.
The timpani player after Marvin. Her name's Ashley. Yeah, Ashley Acosta. Yeah.
Shout out Ashley.
Shout out Ashley Acosta.
Yeah. Those were the days.
Yeah.
I miss
That's
those.
a good question, Marvin.
Yeah. Okay, so the second one is from Chris82Z. Where do you begin when it comes to music production? He's been wanting to start into getting to self-produce. He doesn't know where to start. And this kind of goes to what you already said about just starting. But like, if you were to give advice on how to do it, what would you say?
Start with yourself. What do you have to say? I mean, music is a language. What do you have to say? It starts with, do I have material that I want to record or some idea that I kind of want to expand on, and like, or maybe I'm feeling a certain way? It starts there first. It doesn't, again, like we said, it doesn't start with the gear or like, even like taking lessons or anything like that. That comes next. Once you kind of have something to say, then find the ways that, find what you need to be able to say it. If you're trying to convey a song that involves drums, and you can't hire a drummer, then looks like you're going to be on pads, get a MIDI controller, and go on YouTube, like I didn't go to, school for mixing or audio engineering. I didn't go to Expression or any college like that. I learned on my own through, I remember one summer, in college, I went through the whole like Logic certification book, and I went through that thing in that whole summer and learned how to record. And they gave, like, that book has like projects that you can use as examples. I started there, and YouTube. There's technology is amazing in that way because you have all these like experts in their craft. A good example is like Masterclass. There's this thing called Have you heard of Masterclass? Definitely. They have like Timberland showing how to make beats. You know, that's huge.
Like all the big players, right?
Yeah, and then they have this really cool one, which is like a masterclass just for like mix engineers called Mix with the Masters.
Okay.
And it's all these top tier audio engineers who mix like so many famous songs. They teach through online video lessons, and so. Just understand that you're acquiring these skills so you can express yourself, but it has to start with you willing to express yourself and wanting to express yourself, and start there, because if you follow that voice and you follow the music, then you're gonna know what you're gonna need next. I can't tell you, the person next to you can't tell you. That's really, you have to take that journey first, and you have to be able to explore that. Our artistry is a journey, and it's us exploring, the turns and the twists and of being an artist, and the U-turns and everything. Like only you can experience that. But you can definitely start with your voice and what you have to say. So it starts with a song for sure.
Yeah, and all the
melody, or beat, whatever.
Exactly, and all the resources, like you can get free versions. Again, like you said, you can rent and do what you can, and then like if money's a problem, like just ask friends.
Like, let me borrow your mic real quick. Like I need to do
a podcast.
Yeah.
So I'll
pay you later.
Yeah, I agree. Cool. I like that advice. So one more question. The Demiurge, what is the first banger that comes to mind?
First banger?
Yeah, like what song, like when you think of like a great song, what first comes to mind?
Man, there's a ton, man. Yeah, that's a loaded question. I'll give you bangers.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
First thing came to mind, Ruby Ibarra, Us, or
Oh, I love
Playbills.
Okay.
Check that heat. Love by Ian Santillano. Yeah, that one's a banger. But no, like for real. Those are bangers.
I mean,
but
those are
like, but
bangers.
like more prominent artists in that are being streamed right now. I definitely like anything from Kendrick for sure is like heat. That's just fucking amazing. Anderson .Paak, like, oh man,
I love Anderson .Paak.
yeah, like Anywhere, that's a banger. Even all his shit off of Malibu were bangers, like, you know, Your Heart Don't Stand a Chance. That's a banger. Kendrick Lamar, yeah, like These Walls. I love mixed by Ali. That's all mixed by Ali. He's amazing mix engineer. But yeah, those are a couple that, like, you know, I really fucks with.
Yeah, I saw Anderson .Paak at Camp Flogna in
nice.
LA a couple years ago,
Yeah.
and he can perform. Yeah, I mean,
dude,
when you were talking about his
drummer
performance
too, and
yeah,
he's drumming and rapping at the same. Dude, crazy,
yeah,
man.
I loved his performance.
Yeah.
That's cool. Cool. I guess those are all the IG questions. So in terms of what's next, like, you know, next projects, performances, all of that, you know, what do you have in store?
So apparently Ruby's gonna be dropping an album later this year.
Okay, I heard that.
Yeah.
Like I heard some some word of mouth, but like I didn't want to say it because I wasn't sure if it was a secret.
I mean, it's on her Instagram. I mean,
Okay.
she drops hints in there. You know, she's working on that. Ian is also he's gonna be dropping a couple singles as well. We performed some of them actually at the release show. People were like, "Yo, what song is that? That wasn't on the EP." Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, don't worry. We'll release that one coming up. Also check out like these couple shows that we're gonna do next week at Brick and Mortar. So since, you know,
What date is that?
the 7th or the 9th, I think. Friday. It's a Friday. The Ian and the Housewarmers are gonna be performing at Brick and Mortar.
Oh,
We're
shit.
headlining.
This episode's not gonna come out.
Oh,
before
no,
that.
Oh, okay, never mind.
A little bit after, but
a little bit after. Oh yeah, that's fine.
maybe next.
Housewarmers are gonna be performing on September, I believe, 21st at Undiscovered.
Oh, sick. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then like we're also looking forward to Ruby's next album. I will drop a hint that we're also going to be supposed to be dropping another video, probably the last video from Circa 91.
Shit.
It's not gonna be like a music video, but it's gonna be like a live session type thing.
Kind of like the Tiny Desk.
Yeah,
videos,
kind of
right?
like, it's gonna be like that, but it's gonna be probably a song that you wouldn't expect from her album. But we're gonna try and do a video for that.
Speaking of the Tiny Desk videos,
Oh,
those
yeah,
are
yeah.
sick. I love the production. Like,
Awesome.
It's
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah, shout out to Dale and his production team. Yeah, they and shout out to NPR.
Yeah, NPR's Tiny Desk is sick.
They we didn't
gave a
win.
shout out, right?
We didn't win, but they still wrote an article about
Right.
us,
Yeah,
you
I
know?
saw that.
Yeah, that was crazy. I just got back from the Philippines the second time, and then we had to like make that video. And it was like a whole new arrangement of those two songs.
Yeah,
So,
right.
Yeah.
No rest for
Yeah,
you.
no rest, man. But hey, we're alive.
That's
We're
cool.
doing it live. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for everything.
Yeah.
Shit.
Thank you.
I'm definitely hoping to see a Housewarmer show because I haven't seen a Housewarmer show live yet.
through.
So I'll check that out.
Yeah.
Excited for Ruby's new album.
Yeah.
So that's sick. So if people want to reach you or follow you on social media, or for any of your bands, what handles would they follow?
So definitely if you want to check me out, check out Lasi_Mac. That's LASI_Mac, MAC on Instagram. If you want to catch Ruby and the Balikbayans, so that you guys check out Ruby Ibarra. And then we also have Balikbayans. And then for Ian, check out Ian Santillano. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna provide some links or something.
Yeah, for sure. On the description, I'll have all of them out.
And then the Housewarmers for sure.
Yeah.
Check us out. Follow us. We're always posting like updates on shows and stuff like that. That's how we communicate nowadays. You know?
Yeah.
So slide through to one of our shows and say hi. Don't be a stranger. We're all friendly people. You know, say what's up.
Yeah.
And listen to the music, man. Spread the music and share it with your friend, whoever.
Yeah, there's some amazing music coming from, you know, Ruby and her band, Ian and his band. So yeah, everyone should listen to them for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you for coming, Angelo. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, man. This was like a huge catch-up session.
Yeah.
And I was super thankful that like you gave me this opportunity to like talk about like what I've been up to, man.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Appreciate it, dude.
And next time we'll hang out with Ashley. So, all right, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.